Hi everyone, if you're an existing subscriber, hello and welcome back. If you're new to my channel, hello, welcome, and why not hit subscribe now? I'm your host Alicia Victoria Keane, and I've been interviewing inspirational people and businesses to find out how and why they inspire others. This week I interviewed Perry Wilson, also known as Stupid the Norm, about how he became financially free within just 3 years by being a cab driver. Hi Perry, and welcome to the channel. To begin with, if you could just introduce yourself, who are you and what do you do?
Well, hi, Lisa. Thank you very much for inviting me on your channel. I do something that's very different. I think, well, actually, I think it's unique because I looked on YouTube before I did what I do now to find anyone else, and if you wish to crib from them, and I couldn't find anybody who did what I did. So I did what I did out of desperation. As you can see, I'm a grey-haired fella here, so I'm a bit older than probably most of the guys you interview and most of the people that watch your channel. But if you wish, that's part of the trick that I pull, and that I'm 59 now, 59 and a half. When I was 57, I was working behind a bar on minimum wage. I had no money in the bank, and I had £10,000 of a credit card debt. And for somebody my age, we retired at 67. So I had 10 years to turn my entire life around and recover some of the money that I'd absolutely wasted and did all the things that people, good financial management people tell you not to do. I'd made all mistakes. I'd been bankrupt. I had £10,000 of credit card debt at the time, but not for the first time, by the way. So I was pretty stupid and pretty dumb when it came to personal finance. But that sort of, not quite anniversary, but 10 years before I was due to retire was a bit of a shock to me, because I'd realized that I'd imagined that I'd be a bit further ahead than I was at the time. And so I set myself a little goal, well, a big goal as it was at the time, to in the 10 years from the start, I would save up £300,000. And why £300,000? Well, because I've always loved sailing. I did 12 years in the Navy, and I always fancied a yacht in retirement. So I did some research and found that I could get a nice second-hand yacht for 100,000. And then I needed some money to live off when I got to 67 eventually. So I thought, a couple of £100,000 in the bank would just do me nicely, and I could live a nice. Me and my wife could live a nice frugal life, sailing the Mediterranean as pirates. And so that was my target. And a lot of people scoffed at it. So I thought what I'd do is I'd record my journey, so that it would be a bit of discipline for myself, because I've been undisciplined all my life up until that point. And B, because I got sick of people saying, "Oh, you can't be rich. It's it's the way we are." My dad was never rich. My mum was never rich. None of my family's rich. We're just the working class, and it's them against us, sort of thing. And I didn't never ever believe that. And so I wanted to. If I thought, well, if I record then nobody could say it wasn't possible, because I did it and I recorded. And see, because it allows anybody else who's in my position, or hopefully a lot younger than I am, can copy exactly what I did step by step and replicate what I'm doing. So that was 2.5 years ago. I've come on since then, and in 6 months' time, I'll become financially independent. So in 3 years, I've gone from pretty much insolvency, no money in the bank, £10,000 of credit card debt, living on minimum wage, to now where I stand right now. The debt's down to 5,000. I'm happy with paying that off, and I'll go through each of the steps how I did it. I have 2 buy-to-let properties, and I'm starting up 2 franchises next year. So I expect my income next year to be somewhere around £75,000.
Wow.
And that's just, and that's going from, and I have to keep reminding people this, I went from minimum wage, no money in the bank, £10,000, and I've done that in the space of 3 years.
That is amazing. So huge well done to you, first of all. How did you end up at 57 working in a bar on minimum wage with £10,000 debt? How did you end up there?
It's been stupid, really. I really genuinely wasn't doing an awful lot different from anybody else. I'd spent 12 years in the forces, and like many ex-forces guys, we struggle to replicate the excitement and the variety of what goes on there. So I had a lot of jobs in the meantime, and always, if you wish, always looking for that big. All we had to do was stick in at one job, and go through a career in one job, if you wish, and save money all the way and not spend the money. And I was just being a normal bloke. I know lots of people of my age who have no money in the bank, who might live in a big house, and drive a nice car, but it's all on debt. They don't have the income to substantiate it, and it looks well. And like everybody else, and still like many people today, I almost valued looking wealthy over being wealthy. And in reality, the steps to becoming wealthy are pretty much basic and fundamental. And if I was patient and done the things that everybody been telling me to do, save a little money, put away for a rainy day, make sure your money's working as hard as you are. If I'd have done that when I was 20, I would have retired at 30. Instead of now, when I'm 57, I'm going to retire at 67. I'll be relatively wealthy by the time I retire. But I wish I'd done what I'm doing now back then when I was 20 or 30.
Why did you want to look wealthy, supposed to being wealthy? Was it the idea of keeping up with people who were wealthy? What was that?
I guess a lack of self-esteem. We robe ourselves in accoutrements that are status symbols, and people recognize us by what we drive, by the house we live in, by the clothes we wear, and that was important for me to fit in with everyone. We are herd animals, and we like to be liked, and we like to be the same. People don't like people who are different to them. It's a survival mechanism to be wary of strangers, to not like people who are different. And so as a herd animal, we like to be the same, because to be unlike the herd may put you outside the safety of being in the herd. And so it's easy just to conform and look the same and do the same as everyone else. If you wish you're keeping up with the Joneses, and just being a damn right idiot, and worrying and caring about what people think of you, and that we all of us do that so many times, and I was buying stuff that I couldn't afford to impress people that I didn't even like for the most part, and just in order to fit in, and now I really don't care. I drive a cab. That's in case your listeners are interested in how I make my money. I drive a cab, but I have had some stellar jobs in the past. I've been a director of some franchises, and spent 7 years in politics, 12 years in the forces. And some of the people know me when I used to dress in suits. And occasionally I pick them up in my cab, and they look at me and they'll get a shock, and I'll say, "Wow, Perry, you driving the cab? What were you driving the cab? How long have you been doing this? Why are you doing this?" And I've got a little script, and I say, I've got it off pattern. I say, "Well, I'm doing this because I've written I would do this for 10 years. I'll get myself £100,000 yacht, and I'm going to moor it in Gibraltar Harbour, and then I'll have £200,000 in the bank, and me and the wife are going to fill it full of rum and victuals. We're going to sail the Mediterranean as pirates for our retirement." And they go, "Oh, all right, yeah." I say, "By the way, what's your plan?" And they don't have a plan, because most people don't have a plan to become wealthy. Most people just bimble through life, as I was doing, hoping that, that the world would recognize my genius and just say, "Here's the money, Perry. You don't have to work for it. That's it on a plate, mate." And of course, that was my plan pretty much for all my life till I got to 57. And when I got to 57, I realized it was a crap plan, because it clearly wasn't working. And then I needed a new plan. But so yeah, that's a long way away. That's why I did what I did, and why I was stupid all those years, because we want to be the same as people.
Would you say that your mental health ever suffered because you were trying to keep up with what other people had?
No, and I don't say that. I know it's commonplace now to worry about your mental health. If I have a skill, and I don't have any skills, and I don't have any qualifications, by the way, which is why what I'm doing is able to be replicated, because you don't have to be clever to do what I'm doing. But what I have got is a resilience to pretty much everything. I went bankrupt. That was pretty tough. But it wasn't because of what I did. But I always had my first go into business after leaving the forces, and a customer I went in liquidation owed me 44,000, and I was a man of stone, couldn't carry the debt, so I had to go bankrupt. So that's why that was. But that was a tough time. But I think 12 years in the force has kind of toughened me up mentally, and I can pretty much take anything. You know, I'm not a hard guy, but I'm mentally tough. I'm very, very tough mentally, and so I never really. There's no. I've never suffered mentally because of it.
So, being mentally tough, how come you caved into keeping up with others?
Oh, what a great question. I think when I say mentally tough, it's when you get beaten down. I often say that, you know, the measure of a person is not how many times you get knocked down, because life will knock you down. It's how many times you get back up that is the measure of a person. So I failed lots of times. Failing didn't bother me. Failing is a natural part of life. I did say earlier on that I'm starting 2 franchises next year. You know, and 4 to 5 businesses go bust in the first 3 years. So there's a knocking bet that I'm going to fail there as well. But failing's never bothered me. Just, as I said, it's part of life. You'll fail more times than you succeed. So I was never worried about that. But getting back to your question, which is a great question, and I ought to think more about it when in the quiet nights when I've got a glass of whiskey in my hand. But I guess, you know, genuinely it probably was lack of self-esteem. Wanted to be wealthy, wanted to be the big business owner, wanted to be successful, and I hadn't achieved any of that. And so I think the best way to achieve all that was to pretend and to spend money that I didn't have, as many people do on credit cards and such like, so I could carry on the pretense, the pantomime that I was doing well. And I'm not alone, by the way. There are lots of people who do it. I know lots of my friends do this. And I could carry on the pantomime of being well whilst all the time I was failing again.
You've obviously said about self-esteem, which I think a lot of people, like you just said, do struggle from. They struggle to kind of just go off and do their own thing, not give in to the crowd, not give in to the herd. What made you have that change of mindset? What was the changing point for you where you went, I'm on the wrong path, I'm on the wrong journey, I can't do that anymore, I need to change?
It was actually 2 years before. At 55, you become eligible for to claim a personal pension. Now, as I said, I had a number of jobs in the past. I'd worked for different companies. And when you've moved around a lot, people of my age, you leave little pockets of pensions around different companies. And because I've lived in the same house, they all had my same address. So when at 55, a couple of them wrote to me and said, you're not eligible to your money. Would you like it? And here's what it is. And between the two of them, I think it was 3,500. So at 55, I thought, geez, I've gone to 55-year-old and I've accumulated £3,500, and that was it. Now you'd imagine that was a big enough kick up the backside, but it took me 2 years to take action. And I don't know where the £3,500 went. I probably bought something with it. I probably wasted it. I probably went on a holiday, you know, told myself that, oh, things are tough, but things will look up, Perry. But what you need right now, mate, is a holiday. So go and spend that money and enjoy yourself because you deserve it. It's how we convince ourselves to buy clothes and other stuff we don't really need. So I don't remember what I did with the money, but I spent it because I didn't have it when I was 57. So I had not learned any lessons. So there was that combination there. And then the 10 years, I don't know why 10 was significant, but I had 10 years to do something about it. You know, I wasn't quite retired at 57, but I stood on my tiptoes. I could pretty much see it from there. And it wasn't looking pretty. And so it was time to take some drastic action. And I tried to take massive action, actually. And so because I took massive action, with a massive change in direction, it had a massive impact. And what I did was nothing really spectacular. It was different to me. I did things that, probably what I would consider beneath myself, you know, taking a job as a cabbie and such like. And working, I worked 363 days a year. I take 2 days off, take Christmas Day and Boxing Day off. I start work at 6 o'clock every morning, 7 days a week, other than Christmas Day and Boxing Day. All things which I didn't think were necessary. I thought, you know, I'd set up a business and people would pat me on the back and say, well done, Perry, and then retire. And it never happened. Because I missed the fundamentals. And the fundamentals of wealth are spend anywhere. which most people don't do. Most people spend way more than they earn and fund the difference on credit cards and then invest the difference long term. And that's working right now. I didn't think it was that simple, but it is that simple. It's working incredibly well for me now, and it will make me incredibly wealthy over the next 10 years. And of course, you can follow what I'm doing with my YouTube channel. What you get from me, you've asked some really poignant questions that have made me think about my own motivation and why I was doing the things I did. I wish you'd have asked them earlier at the time to have some more thought about it and sort of give your audience better insight myself. But I hope I've answered them honestly. You'd always get honesty from me. You know, I've been such an idiot. Low self-esteem, as I mentioned too many times. But it's not good for my self-esteem to mention it too many times. But I did have low self-esteem, like many people. It's generally not necessary. Look, just follow the fundamentals of wealth. Don't listen to what people say. Don't worry about what people think about you. Have your own course in life and stick to that course. And you'll generally get what you want. I mean, if it's not wealthy, not everybody wants to be wealthy, but you know, if you ask for a show of hands, who wants less money? Nobody wants less money. So if getting wealthy is your bag, just copy what I do because it works. Promise me. And it's no secret. People will con you into buying stuff and explain the secret of becoming wealth. It's not. It's really out there in plain sight. You just got to put your nose to the grindstone and apply the principles, and anybody can do it.
So for you, what was your first steps to wealth? What did you do? Did you hand in your notice? Was that the first step? Did you carry on?
Yeah, what I did was, the first thing I did was, because I had that £10,000 of credit card debt, which was costing me about just over £400 a month to service, and I was paying about 18%. So the first thing I did was I went down to the Halifax building site and borrowed £10,000, and then I paid off that debt, and that's crucial. A lot of people will borrow that extra £10,000 and just spend it again, which probably what I would have done in the past. But I paid off those credit cards, which brought the payments down from over 400 to just over 200. So I've got a bit of breathing space. So now I had an extra £200 in the budget. But it wasn't enough. I needed to make more money than I was in minimum wage. So as I said, I was working behind a bar. And I then think, so I was working at the bar nighttime from about 5 o'clock to half midnight, 5 nights a week. So that gave me the daytime to make extra money. So I thought about what I could do to fill the daytime and make some money. And one of the things I could do was I could be a cab driver. I had no experience of driving cabs, never wanted to be a cab driver, but it was a good day to fill, it was a good job to fill the daytime. So what I started doing was I got the qualifications, did the little knowledge test such as it is, got the DBS police check, spoke to a couple of companies, took on a job as a cabbie from 7 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I went to work at 5 o'clock in the pub till half midnight. And I did that for about 3 months. And then I realized that the hourly rate for a cabbie is way more than minimum wage. Mm-hmm. So I, as you say, resigned from a job in the bar and did cabin full time. And I've been doing that for 2 years now. So now my routine is I start at 6 o'clock in the morning. I work till 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I do that Monday to Friday. On Saturday and Sunday, I'll start at 6 o'clock in the morning and I'll finish about 11 o'clock in the morning. So that increased my income. So it was reducing the debt, which saved me £200 a month, which is like extra income if you haven't got to pay extra outgoings. And then I increased my income to be a cab driver. To such a position rather where I was saving, I pay all the bills in the house and I was still saving, and I still do today, save £900 a month. I did that for 2 years, taking 2 days off a year, until such time when I had around £20,000. And last September, just gone, I bought my first buy-to-let property. That now nets me extra £400 a month after taking off the management fee and the mortgage. I get extra £400. So now I'm saving £1,300 a month. I spoke to my best friend about what I was doing, and he says, "Oh, I should have gotten the property." And he says, "Well, you can buy some property." I says, "Well, I haven't got any money right now because I just bought a property, spent 20 grand on a property." And he said, "Well, I'll tell you what, we'll buy a cheap one that needs to fix it up, but I'll buy it, then we'll refinance it, get my money out, and then we can have a property together." So we're doing that. That should be my second property, which I put no money into the second one. And then I will save up enough money by July next year when my Navy pension kicks in, a lump sum of £8,000 plus the money I'm saving at £1,300 a month. I will buy my third property in July. That day, July next year, I'll be financially independent, which means that all of my bills are covered from money I've generated without working for it. It's investment income. Then my plan is now, I set my goal of raising £300,000 because that was from the perspective of having no money, £10,000 in debt, and on minimum wage. Of course, now nearly 3 years on, and I'll be financially independent in 6 months' time. My perspectives change, and I now believe to carry on what I'm doing. That I'm starting 2 franchises next year with extra income.
And what are they?
Yeah, the first one is a job I can do weekends. It's in the entertainment industry. I won't tell you too much because we're the first franchise of this person who's been doing it successfully. And they're using us as a model. So if me and my best mate who bought the property with, we can make that work. He will then say, look, this is how it works. These guys in the Northeast did it. It works, and we'll roll it out. So, and I believe that will work. And it's a weekend. So I don't make much money a weekend. As I said, I don't work so long hours. So if I can make more money at the weekend, I would just stop working the cabbage during the weekend if it's making more money. So that's that one. And the other one is we have, I was speaking to someone earlier this month who was also on the Mike Winnet show, a very successful entrepreneur, 17 million turnover. And I spoke to him, and we're going to do a little franchise, which is business meetings. So business referrals, business clubs on a lunchtime or an evening time where you get 20 or 30 people and they all pass referrals to each other. So we're going to do that as well, and that will start next year. We should have started the entertainment one this year, but then COVID came along, and so COVID slowed both these projects down. But hopefully, fingers crossed for everyone, that COVID will, with the vaccine, will hopefully disappear, and we can open the economy up, and I can do this. So I think those 2 franchises will hopefully bring another 50,000 in thereabouts. I tend to give up the cabbing until such time where I can make more money from the other businesses that I'm doing in the hours I'm putting in the cabin business. So the future is bright, thankfully. But only because I'm not being stupid, because I'm not clever, because it's very basic, because I've stopped being stupid.
Did you have to do much research prior to buying property, knowing what to invest your money in?
Fortunately, I've had a bit of a background in property in that I had a background in finance. I'm a certified mortgage broker, although I don't practice. I've been head of business development for a large mortgage packager at one time. I've been sales director for a property investment company. Wasted all the money, made a fortune, wasted it, absolutely wasted it. I had a good time, mine, but it's not very clever. Don't do it, boys and girls. And so I had a background in property anyway, but I still wouldn't consider myself an expert. So I saw a guy had an advert on LinkedIn, and he said he could provide properties with this return, what have you, and I thought, well, I need some of that. And he wasn't too far, about 40 miles from me. So I drove down to see him, looked at the properties he was finding, looked at the returns they were doing, the numbers all stacked up, and I had to pay him for it, his service, by the way, which was money well invested as far as I'm concerned. And he found my first property for me, and it was £10,000 below market value. It didn't need any work doing to whatsoever. Tenants walked straight in. It was a beautiful little property. It only cost me $63,000. I got a mortgage on the property, obviously, 75% mortgage. So with 15,750, I think the deposit was. The fees all come around £20,000. So I put £20,000 into that. And that's the one that kicks out actually £525 rent a month. But of course, I pay him £50 and the mortgage is £87. So I came up with about £400 a month. So I would definitely continue using him. So you don't have to be an expert. You just have to know the right people. It's not often what you know, it's who you know. And again, I share that with them. I'm happy if any of you always want to get in touch with the pass these deals on. In fact, by the way, all my followers, please go. I've told them go and use them. Don't mention my name. You get exactly the same business and level of business of him that I get. That's not what it's about. It's about recognizing people who are doing really good stuff and who deserve to be promoted and deserve to make more money because they're supplying a great service. And his name's Matthew Robson, great guy. But yes, so you don't need to be an expert, but you need experts to help you.
Okay.
Not experts come at a price.
And how do you know, obviously there's a lot of frauds out there who aren't legit. How do you know the right from the wrong? Is it research? Is it, again, not what you know, who you know?
Property isn't much of a mystery. You don't need to spend lots of money on property courses. because it's fairly basic. There are experts on every street corner, every high street corner, who you can go and talk to, and they are estate agents, and they'll do the work for nothing. You don't need to pay £5,000 for a course. You go to an estate agent on the top of your street and say, "Look, this is my budget. I've got £20,000. I want to know where the best area is to rent. That's going to give me the best return. What can you find me?" He'll do all the work. He'll find the property for you. He'll sell the property for you. If you want him to find your tenant, he'll do that. He will charge you for that, a nominal fee, and he'll manage the property for you, so you don't have to do it all. So there are guys in every high street in the UK who will do that for you free of charge, and they are professionals too. And so don't waste your money on a stupid investment course. It's just not necessary.
I think one of the questions that I personally most want to ask after you sharing your story, are you happier now that you've got money, you're financially stable compared to what you were going back 2-3 years ago?
Yes, I am happier. Money makes you happier, Alicia. Don't listen to the critics. It's all nonsense. Right? Money makes you happier. It makes you sleep better at night. If you're a genuinely miserable person, money will not make you happier, although you can be miserable in your luxury. But generally, money will make you happy. It just does, right? You can do so much with it. I know lots of people don't want to say that they don't want to be wealthy. Wealth isn't everything, but it doesn't matter what you want to do in life. If it's cure cholera, if it's to help the poor, rid the world of poverty, you can do all that much easier if you've got lots of money. Now, you can't cure poverty by being poor yourself. Anything you want in life is much easier when you have money. That it just is. I'm a cheerful guy anyway, so money just makes me happier. Generally does. So mental health wise, I'm great. I sleep better at night. I have nothing to worry about. When COVID came and the world stopped for a bit, I was extremely relaxed because I had nearly £20,000 in the bank, and my bills in the house come to about £900 a month. So I had 2 years worth of savings. And if you've got 2 years worth of savings in the bank, I don't have it now because I just spent the bloody thing on a property. But if you have 2 years of savings in your bank account, it's comforting. It might not make you happy, but it's comforting.
No, definitely. I completely agree with you on that one. So what would you tell your younger self, looking back now, if you could say one thing to them, what would you say?
I'll say two things if you don't mind. I'm going to indulge myself. The first thing I would say, I would love to say, because I've been to dark places, the bankruptcy, and when you first get married in your house, you've got no carpets, and we found there's dry rot and damp, which didn't show up on the report, and the money we had to do the house up and put nice furniture that was spent just to cure all that stuff. And it's some tearful times when you're just in your 20s and just starting out. And if I could, I would go back to myself and put my arms around myself and my wife and say, "Don't worry about it, guys. You have no idea how good this is all going to turn out." So that's the first thing I would say. I'd love to do. What I tell myself, if you save £1 a month, you will eventually become a millionaire. It would take you 8,333 years, by the way, so it's not a logical time scale. But it's the maths is fine. The maths works. So all you had to do, if I was back, in fact, I'll tell it an 18-year-old now, if you save 2 hours of your weekly wage, so if you're working at McDonald's all you did at 18 was save or invest into something like a Vanguard stocks and shares ISA. 2 hours your weekly wage from age 18 to 65, you'd retire a millionaire. And then it didn't matter what life threw at you. It didn't matter what the trials and tribulations are. You lost whatever it is. Tough. We all go through tough times, but so long as every month you stashed away the equivalent of 2 hours your weekly wage, you would eventually become a millionaire. And I think if I had done that, I would have faced life's ups and downs with a bit more stoicism than I perhaps did. So start serving. The earlier you start, the more money you will amass. Now, I've looked at, because I'm thinking ahead now to when my grandchildren come. I've got 2 daughters, 31 and 26, and they will be having a plan to have babies soon anyway. So what's the best way I can help that child? if every one of those grandchildren, when they were born, if I put £10,000 into a Vanguard tracker, by the time they retire, there'd be 2 million in their account. £10,000 over 68 years will get you close to £2 million.
Wow.
I wish somebody told me that when I was 18, Alicia.
Yeah.
I wish.
No, I bet. Well, thank you very much for sharing your story. It just goes to show that no matter where you are at your life now, there's always time to change it, and
never too late. Never too late.
Never too late at all. Finally, I do have 10 very quick questions.
This is the hardest part.
Right. Okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Favorite actor or actress?
Oh my God. John Hurt.
Okay. Lasagna or shepherd's pie?
Oh God, both.
Can only choose one.
Shepherd's pie. Shepherd's pie.
Okay. Christmas or New Year?
Christmas, definitely.
No, I like Christmas with the family and everything. It's lovely. One word to describe how you want your future to look.
Yeah, Rosie.
Okay, Rosie. I like that word. Why Rosie?
Because that's the way I look at it right now. Absolutely, the future's bright.
Very good, very good. Dairy milk or Milky Bar?
Oh, dairy milk.
Ooh. Mornings or evenings?
Mornings, definitely. I'm a morning person. I'm awake at 4 o'clock in the morning, just watching the clock in the morning. I need about 6 hours sleep, so I'm great.
Do you think you have to be a morning person? You have to get up early to be successful?
It helps. I mean, the working day is 9 to 5, so offices are open that time. So if you can squeeze a bit of work in 4 hours before, or squeeze a bit of work in 4 hours afterwards, then you've got 4 hours. It's half a day on the competition.
Yeah, definitely. That's very true. Completely with you on that one. Makes complete sense. Do you believe that reading helps make success as well?
Gaining knowledge is, I think, I love reading. If I just take in my wardrobe right now and open the top, there's lots of books in there, lots and lots of self-help books, but that's how you teach yourself. But it's been done less and less nowadays. Everything's going online. I don't watch TV. I know everybody says, I don't watch TV. Well, I don't watch TV, but I probably do 2 hours of YouTube every night.
Okay.
And that's how I learn. I research what other people like me are doing, and not just in this country, what American guys are doing, and I watch your channel as well. And it's all learning, it's all growing, never stop growing. You know, old people, when I say old people, in the 80s, who don't have a phone and don't like the internet, the reason they become irrelevant to the young people is because they have nothing, they don't understand the new world. So the world, if you stop still, the world overtakes you. So you have to keep up going with the world. So you've got to keep learning and never stop learning.
No, very, very true. And I like how you say about watching others as well, too, because then you pick up on their mistakes, don't you?
Absolutely. Their mistakes, you get inspired by them. Yeah. They talk about stuff that I thought, well, I never thought of that. I could do a video on that.
Definitely. So leading quite nicely on to my last question then, who is your favourite YouTuber?
My favourite YouTuber? Oh, what a great question. Who do I watch the most? There's a guy in America who I watch pretty more than anything, well, at least in my feed more than anything. That might just be his marketing. It's a guy called Jaspreet Singh, and he is the Minority Mindset, and I'd recommend you watch him. He's a bit like myself, in as much that he's got lots of philosophy and financial tips. He has made a lot of mistakes. He started quite young. He's a lawyer, so he's not made as many mistakes. Hasn't learned from mistakes, which is the toughest way to do it. The best way is to learn from other people's mistakes, and he's done that. So I'll recommend watching him. He's great.
Well, for everyone watching this as well, definitely go and check out your channel.
Everything's under Stupid is the Norm. So my YouTube channel is youtube.com/stupid is the norm. And I got the title from a Dave Ramsey, who's another American YouTuber, who is a big zealot on repaying your debt. And he told someone in a live interview that he was stupid. And he says, oh, please don't get upset with my calling you stupid, because most people are stupid when it comes to personal finances. In fact, stupid is the norm when it comes to personal finances. And that's where I ripped it off from. So thank you, Dave Ramsey.
That's brilliant. Well, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for agreeing to do this
Really, it's been,
interview.
been an absolute pleasure. Thank you.
It's so important to put the hard work in. If you put hard work in, you're sensible with your money, and you don't give up, you can achieve anything that you want to achieve. As we heard Perry speak about, he has been really successful in the property market and shares his ideas now via his YouTube channel. You can follow Perry at the links here. If you have someone that inspires you, comment below. I'm always so interested to find out who others find inspirational. Likewise, if you have an inspirational story to tell, comment below, drop me a message on social media, or even drop me an email. On Sunday, I'll be back here on my channel inspiring your story further.